Welcome back to the Skids Giggles podcast. I am Pascal, chief instigator of this show and your host. I'm joined by my co-host and our resident engineer, the yin to my yang, the gearbox to my comment section. Bryson, how's it going today, buddy?
Hey, Pascal, it's going really good. And to you?
Yeah, not bad, man. I have a really burning question today. And I was wondering if you have ever talked to a bear.
Well, not on the podcast, but a few times on the trails. How about you? In Switzerland? No.
No, we don't really have bears around here. But, we do actually have one bear here in Zurich, actually. And he's called the flying grizzly bear. And today we have him on the podcast. So welcome to the Skids and Giggles podcast, the Flying Grizzly Bear. Chris, how's it going, buddy?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me. How is it going to you guys?
Very well.
Oh, all good. Looking forward to this conversation. And also to you, thank you for doing this in English. It really means a lot to us. But before we get to it, let's briefly do our spiel with the social and where you guys can find more information about the Skids and Giggles podcast. We are currently most active on our Instagram, where you can skid right into our DMs and follow along at Skids and Giggles. And you can find our website with all the relevant links and info under the URL skidsandgiggles.com. Also, if you guys like what we're doing and want to know what's up, just give us a follow on Spotify. Hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you listen to great podcasts. Finally, sharing an episode you enjoy on your social or a heartfelt 5-star rating on your favorite platform goes a long way in helping us reach more people like you. Right on, let's get back to the grizzly. Talking about grizzly bears, I was recently in Lenzerheide, the Swiss Enduro Series. You may have listened to the episode with the guys from the series. As I was riding down the last stage, straight line, I come down to the bridge we all know from World Cup coverage and stuff like that, and all of a sudden I pull up to that bridge, and on the left, all of a sudden a wall hits me. And it's that new big jump on the line, and it's actually called the Grizzly Line. So so tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. It all started pretty spontaneous. So they always wanted something big since Tommy G was in the kingdom. And it was a funny story about that because they built it on overnight action, which was not really legal. So they had to remove it the next day after Tommy G went. And so they wanted to have something similar, just in a bike park. And then they were talking to me about it. So they were like, yeah, let's build something big. What do you think? You have some experience with big jumps and stuff like that. What can we do? And then I talked to the head shaper of the Bike Kingdom and a marketing girl, which is called Corina. So we sat down together, talked about that line. I didn't really know where they wanted to build it. So we just went there with Trailux with Jeff and the main builder of the Bike Kingdom by itself. And we were talking about what we can do, and what we figured out is what's now there. So Greg was there as well.
Former guest Greg Jolliffe.
Yeah. I managed to get him into the boat, so without him it wouldn't be possible to build something like this.
He knows a thing or two about building big jumps.
Yeah, definitely. So it was really important for me to get him to Lenzerheide to build that thing.
Okay, and what was the feedback on the jump? I mean, of course, we've seen the pictures from the recent World Cup coverage, certainly from practice where the jump was used to great extent. But what else did you hear from the jump?
First of all, when we were finished, kind of both sides. Some really good riders, they were like, oh, it's a perfect jump. There's a steep landing where you almost feel nothing when you do tricks, so it's super smooth. But it was kind of sketchy, but to be honest, we don't had enough dirt to make a proper landing, which is like super big to make it safe. So Greg took just what he could for the landing, so it was all he got to make it big. And yeah, for sure. I mean, some people crash on it because they didn't expect something like this in the kingdom, to be honest. So, I mean, it's a really big jump. So actually, it was dangerous because the landing was super steep. So you overshoot it super fast. And it was clear from the beginning that we have to get some dirt into it after to make it bigger, and as well for the World Cup, because those guys are coming about 3 times faster than the average park rider.
Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, actually, if you look watch the coverage of the actual race run, most people take the right line over the bridge, and most of them scrub the jump to actually keep low and don't lose too much time in the air.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't think
We
anyone
flattened it
really that was still in the run. I think Cade crashed early and used the jump, but I don't think anyone at least in the top 20 was really using the jump for the race run.
Really. I've seen a few few riders during the practice, and one of the, I think it was one of the not that good guys. I mean, not really the fast guys. I didn't know him, but he flipped it twice.
Oh wow!
The big one in practice.
Nice.
So World Cup riders going big.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sure. Well, the jump is made for going big, so
yeah,
it's good that people use it. All right. Well, so maybe let's back it up a little bit. I mean, how does a rider like you get to build his own line in a bike park in one of the biggest, if not the biggest bike park in Switzerland? So why don't you talk a little bit about how you got into riding? To begin with.
Oh, that's a long story. I mean, I think really I born on a bike actually, but it really got serious when I started learning my profession. So with 15, around 15, I bought a Marin Attack Trail, which is one of the ugliest bikes on earth, actually. Maybe it's really bad. You got that quad link suspension linkage, which is the worst ever. I mean, every time when you hit something big, you got a 19 degrees pedal kickback, and you lose your pedal for sure. So I started riding with that one, and yeah, I mean, I destroyed everything. I destroyed the fork on it and shock, and I even cracked the frame after about a half a year. So it was sure I needed something bigger. And then from then on I was riding downhill. I got a Rocky Mountain Flatline, 2012 it was. And started riding downhill everywhere all the time.
And started going big.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually the idea from the beginning to go big on the downhill bike.
Okay. So have you ever done, let's say, any more formal jumpings, like dirt jumping, or have you always been like more a free rider and having the big bike park jumps?
I started on a downhill bike. I did my first backflip on a downhill bike. I mean, it was in an airbag in Lac Blanc. Yeah. But it was my first backflip on a bike at all, and I think a year after I built my first it was a year after my first dirt bike. So then I started to learn tricks on dirt bike and enjoyed it a lot as well. So.
Today, what keeps you going? What kind of drives you to progress? Is it always bigger jumps? Is it, gnarlier lines? Is it, what are your goals in the sport?
I mean, I enjoy everything on a bike. I think most I like is riding with friends in a group. It really doesn't matter where. I mean, if you have a good group, you have fun everywhere. You can have fun on a parking lot. With bikes, I mean, I had some really good sessions on parking lots with bikes and friends. So, I mean, yeah, but riding by itself, right now I really like free riding and finding and discover my own like lines in the mountains, and for sure big jumps on a bike. That's what I really like.
You're also in some of the kind of big air contests. So of course, this year has been Crankworks. I think it was the biggest. You've done some others, I believe in Norway, with some big jumps. Is that also in the future? Do you want to keep competing, or?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to ride all the festival stops. That would be the best life. But I mean, I do whatever I can. I mean, if I have the possibility to go to Luzfest, I will go there and ride it. Or if I can go to Norway to Hogfest, I will go there and ride Hogfest. So it's what I really enjoy. I mean, if I don't have the possibility to go there, I do my stuff in Switzerland and try to push my own riding.
We noticed you dropped a pretty nice edit earlier in the year.
The mashup edit I did.
Yeah, the mashup edit.
Oh yeah, that's what I like to do.
Yeah, I remember we were talking before about how you really are inspired by like the Instagram style, where you like putting together mashups, putting together small edits, and like presenting yourself on Instagram. It's like something you take pride in, and I think you have a really good presence on Instagram as well. Do you get a lot of good good feedback from viewers and Instagrammers?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes yeah, sometimes no. But I mean, that's what is that's something which is pretty important for me. I want to be kind of idle for people. I don't want to do just bullshit on Instagram and doing like videos and stories where I'm drinking and doing bullshit, you know. I mean, riding is super important and a big part of my life. So I want to inspire people doing same or doing something similar, or I mean, even learn new stuff on a bike, watching my videos, and that's my goal with Instagram. So that's why I'm doing those mashups and all those videos.
All right, and so flat spin. This is like and we need to do a jargon check right now. So flat spin is you're doing a 360 spin while table topping. Is that correct?
No, actually, it's something in between backflip and 360, or even more like a nose-dived 360.
So you have your rear tire higher than your front tire.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to go like flat.
And you're turning either right or left.
Me, I'm turning to the left.
Okay.
But I'm doing everything kind of complicated because I'm dick-footed.
Dick-footed?
It's called dick-footed. I got my left foot in the front and I'm rotating to the left side, so which is completely weird
like
for
unnatural.
the most of the people. Yeah, it's not the natural rotation.
Okay, so that's maybe how it brings out all the style you have.
Maybe. I don't know.
But one thing I really, for me, when I think about your tricks, backflip is one of them for sure, because you do backflip on a big bike, and we don't see so many people doing that. And for sure, the whip.
The sickest whip in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah, the best whip I've seen in Switzerland at least. And for sure, you're like right up there with like, you know, Cade style, even like Danny Hart style, you know, like.
What chaos.
Sick whip. Such a clean whip you have. It's so Swiss, let's say.
It's Swiss. It's pure Swiss.
It's pure the Swissness in a whip.
It's Swissness. Swiss whip.
But maybe I noticed, you use a lot of body language in the air. So you're like turning the bar, twisting yourself, turning back. I've definitely watched the slow-mo of your whips like quite a few times. But how about for the listeners out there, describe what you're doing as you like approach the ramp, and then as you're going through all of that. Like what's in your mind before you hit it, and then what's in your mind as you hit it, or at least what are you trying to do?
All right. So first of all, I have never something in my mind when I'm riding, so I'm completely empty. I just feel it. I'm
Pure focus.
Yeah, pure focus actually.
Right.
But first of all, I think we have to start with the foot position again, because left foot front for me, and I'm oppo whipping, so I whip to the wrong direction for the normal persons. So my rear wheel is going to the right side, and that's why I have to steer that hard in the air. So I can't push with my rear foot. So normal persons are pushing the bike to the side with the rear foot, and I have to steer to get the angle.
Oh.
So and I'm learning whips now for almost since ever, about 12 years or something, because I always wanted to have those motocross whips. That was really my goal in riding.
Yeah, achieved.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that was my big goal.
But since you have your opposite foot forward,
Yeah.
It then allows you to use your right foot to pull your whip back.
No, it's everything with steering. I don't do a lot with my feet. I just actually imagine you're on a bike starting to get up that ramp. So I start to lean in. I kind of carve the takeoff, and as soon as my front wheel leaves the takeoff, I steer to the left side, and then the fork hits the frame. So I can push the frame to the side with the fork. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I think I have that angle I want to have, I steer to the other side. So I steer the frame back. I don't do a lot of pushing with my feet. It's really just steering. That's why it looks like it is.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if
it looks wild.
Do motocross riders also use the fork stop to
I think so.
turn the bike?
Yeah, they have to.
So they're really doing it as an upper body movement, probably with a little bit throttle, I guess.
Yeah, I think they use the throttle to keep to get the bike back.
Is that something you look at to inspire your tricks, like the moto stuff?
Oh yeah, for sure.
FMX.
Yeah, I want to have moto style on my bikes.
I sent you the clip from Tyler Berman a couple of weeks or months back, and it was just one of the craziest whips I've seen. I just had to think of you because would be the next level of a whip. Is then kind of the Tyler Berman where he's like standing sideways in the air and then bringing it back, and just like that is really, really crazy.
Those guys are flying backwards. I mean, imagine that one, flying backwards in the air and then turn it back.
Exactly. But I guess that's the additional weight of a motorbike, right? Because the motorbike is, 100, 150 kilos, and, downhill bike, let's say 15 to 20, depending. So it's obviously a slightly different dynamic. But yeah, I think it looks really, really cool. And, but yeah, so... But in Innsbruck, you did the whip off, and of course, jargon check, Bryson. Whip off is a contest format where people are just throwing the biggest whips they can, and
only whips. Only whips count.
Only whips count, yeah.
And who's judging? Is it popular vote, or is it actually judged?
I think it's actually judged. I think in Innsbruck it was actually judged.
Was that before or after you crashed in Innsbruck, I believe?
Yeah. On the second try in the official contest.
Bummer.
So I couldn't do a lot. I mean,
shame.
I was riding the whole jump. I was riding the jump the whole afternoon. So we had the luck to be earlier there, and we could do some practice. And I mean, it's an insane setup. Yeah,
but I mean, I guess it's a testament to the style of your whip that they included you in the highlight reel from the whip-offs. Even I think it was only your first run, or at least some practice runs, because there was in the kind of an Innsbruck video there was I think one of your whips was featured in it.
Yeah, they were both in that video. The first one I did, and that one where I crashed on. So both were in the video.
How'd you feel about those ones?
I mean, the first was perfect.
Ah.
Second one was a little bit gnarly.
Okay. And I guess they just carried out your judging on your first one, or do they do like a best of two scenario?
I think they didn't judge me at all.
They didn't?
So the format is you have a session for an hour or something with all the riders, and then the best 30 have another session after with the others, and then they judge the winner.
Okay.
So I couldn't even
go to the second
prove
session.
myself.
So you were mentioning that you studied to be a professional. Now that's a professional bicycle mechanic, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and that's when you fell into the love for riding and free riding, pulling tricks. What about taking the next step, going full pro?
Oh, that's difficult. I mean, as a professional, you have to have all the supporters and the sponsors, and that's the big step, actually.
Yeah, it's not just like it just can happen, but it's definitely a trip, a journey.
Or a goal.
Yeah, of course.
It is actually. I mean, it would be a goal for me if free riding is accepted as a professional sport. I mean, I'm really not a slopestyle rider, or I mean, not a professional, not at all, or a World Cup racer, downhill racer. So I am something in between, and you can't like measure it. So it's difficult to get a professional or a profession out of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's only very few riders that have kind of that niche, kind of that free racer or like true free riders, right? So kind of that's basically the people that are competing in Rampage.
Yeah, basically.
At at a maximum, and that's just a very few. And I guess here in Switzerland, it's a bit more conservative compared to other markets in terms of the sponsorship opportunities for a free rider.
Oh yeah.
So I guess that's the big challenge here, right? So of course, if you're cross country racer, it's slightly. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a bit easier. But then if you're let's say an action sport athlete, and your only competition is maybe once a year, or maybe two events a year, and some video projects, and that's of course is slightly different, especially certainly in mountain biking where it's not as established in Switzerland.
Speaking of racing, have you done any?
Yeah, when I was 15 or 16. I've done the Trail Fox, Tuck Trail Fox in Flims. Maybe you know that one. So, but I had always bad experiences with racing. Not for myself, for my friends. Because I was actually not that slow. For 2 years of riding, actually really riding. But always when I am on a race, a friend of mine is destroying himself. So that's why I stopped trying to be a racer, actually. Because people are going to their complete limit because everyone want to win. And if you're honest, that's not really riding, that's not fun. I mean, you have to compete in a thing you're loving to do. So the thing you love to do is competing and not riding, for me. And I'm not competing, I enjoy riding.
Interesting perspective.
I see. Yeah, it's not the competitive mindset. It's the fulfilling yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm right there with you.
Cool.
That's pretty much my take on racing as well. I'm not fast, so that's the other side of it.
I mean, everyone could be fast if you give a lot of effort into it. But if you're not love to compete, you're not fast.
If you just don't brake, you're going fast.
Yeah, just get off that brakes.
Oh well, soul riders, soul racers. I mean, there's room for everyone. That's the beauty of the sport. So that's I think the important message here. We've already talked a little bit about it with the whip-offs and crankworks. Some nasty crashes. Obviously, we're going big. There's obviously sometimes, unfortunately, also some big crashes. So kind of how I'm just curious how you deal with with the let's say the side effects of your riding. Of course, you just come back from I think a pretty lengthy injury. You've been off the bike for a couple of weeks, I believe. So yeah, I just wanted to know how you deal with all of that. And are you doing anything in particular that prepares you for those situations where unfortunately you have to crash?
Yeah, I mean, crashing is part of the game. But for myself, right now I'm hitting the gym 3 times a week and have 2 times physio. So that's my preparing for crashing. But actually, when I'm riding during the year or winter or whatever, I really just try to ride and not like going to the gym all the time, because I think when you ride your bike, you learn the most, or you even, I mean, crashing, you learn crashing. So, but it's an important part as well. So I think from now on, I have to actually, because of my elbow. I will hit the gym 2 times a week and just train my body, because next time I want to destroy the bar and not my elbow.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of also an important part of why, let's say, World Cup downhillers and enduro guys, as well as some of the slopestylers, they're in the gym quite a bit. I mean, I don't say you need to be there like total CrossFit animal or whatever, but just to get the body ready for those impacts and holding your limbs together in case you ragdoll down the mountain. That's usually a pretty good thing. But so in crankwork, so you injured the elbow. What did actually happen?
That's interesting, because I was riding the jump the whole afternoon, as I said before. So I had a lot of practice, and I really felt the jump. Like I loved to ride it, so I was able to flip it, to flip can it, and I think I could do everything on that jump because it's just perfect. But as soon as the contest starts, you have to wait for an hour. We had to wait for an hour, and the light changed. So the sun was going down behind the mountain, which was straight towards you. So the sun was straight shining towards the jump. So you were looking into the sun, and that wasn't before. So I was not used to that situation. And when you jump down that step down and coming up to the takeoff, I couldn't see anything. The whole takeoff was just black, and you kind of had to feel when the takeoff was finished, and then you had to do the whip. So the first time it was good, but it was just feeling. I couldn't see the landing and the takeoff, but for me it works, so I can keep going. So then I walked up again to the start, and someone crashed before me. So we had to wait for another 5 minutes. And I first opened the whip-off as well. So I was the first rider going down for the official whip-off. And then again, we had to wait for 5 minutes and no one wanted to start. So I was like, okay, I mean, I can go. No problem for me. I mean, I did it before. I don't care. I mean, I can go. So I dropped in, did my whip, and got a little too nose heavy because I turned my bar a little too early. So I was completely nose heavy, stretched arms, and couldn't bring the whip completely back. So I was about 45 degrees sideways, what isn't actually a problem. I mean, I landed 90 degrees sideways and rode it out few times. So it's not that big problem. I mean, if your front wheel is pointing towards where you want to ride, you ride it out. But because it was so nose heavy and the jump was so big and my arm were stretched, as soon as my front wheel touched the ground, my elbow popped out because of the heavy impact. So I was holding on my bar so heavy that my elbow popped out. And that's the reason actually why I crashed after. So I had no scratches on the whole body. I didn't even hit my head on the ground or something. My elbow just popped out.
Oh, dang. Well, yeah, good on you for going to the gym. So next time, hopefully your bar snaps, not your elbow.
That's the goal.
Oh, man. Yeah, that sounds... But yeah, so you've just been in the gym and some physio, and now you're all good to go again? Or is there still some after effects?
No, I think it's just my mindset. I just have to get my mindset back. It's a big part of the whole thing as well. I mean, first of all, I have to get the trust back in my body. So for me, it's hitting the gym, trying to go to the limit of my body strength and see how the elbow works. And right now it works, even on the biggest, on the heaviest weight, it holds together and it doesn't hurt. So now I'm going back to whatever skills park, trying to get my tricks together. All tricks I have. That's actually not a lot tricks. I just have to
big ones.
Yeah, I just have to land them clear. That's for me important to do the complete rotation and land both wheels on the same spot and together. So just try to get the precision back.
And you're also doing some tricks on your enduro bike, I've seen.
Yeah.
So a funny story for the listeners out there. The three of us all ride the same brand of frame, just a small maker, but it kind of makes us a little bit of a kin, eh? And so
Teammates.
Pascal has his set up as full enduro race rig. Mine's kind of this experimental who knows what. And of course, Grizzly's is a free ride enduro machine. So
Free Duro machine.
Free
Duros.
Free Duros for all in the land of Bike Kingdom. Do you find it easy to translate the big bike tricks into the enduro bike? It's probably a different feeling. So what do you think?
For me, it's pretty same.
Yeah.
It just got bigger wheels,
Right.
but it's almost same size for me. And you have suspension, so it's easier for me to trick.
All right. Okay. It's a little bit lighter, or because you have a carbon downhill
No, it's same
bike.
weight. It's
Same,
about
okay.
6.5 kilogram.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But right now I'm riding mullet like you are.
All right.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
I like it. I mean, you
Cool.
get business in the front and party in the back. It's
I know.
perfect. It's so cool.
Definitely. It's like drinking a beer and a cocktail at the same time.
Yeah, it's exactly how it is.
I think that's the
All
best
party.
description. That's the best description of a mullet setup that I've heard so far.
I'm on fire today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I love riding mine too. It's really versatile and, just good all around. I could do anything on it almost. I mean, I pretty much chase down Pascal a lot, and his is a rocket ship.
Interesting is that mine is about 1 kilo heavier than yours.
At least.
Yeah, but now it's also in full setup. So
Full race trim. Yeah.
full race everything.
It's like factory spec racing.
I don't
God.
like to deal with flats or any of that. So
Or air in your suspension.
So,
Oh,
No one likes air in the suspension. That sucks, man.
Yeah, you need air under your tires, not air in your suspension. That's how it works.
Okay, I would like to get back to kind of the content creation side of things, because I think that's really interesting, and we've had, especially with what you said earlier about that's your main medium, how you want to present yourself and inspire others to ride. And we also had some interesting conversation with James before, very early on in our podcasting career. And he made an interesting point, and he was saying, it's actually in, let's say, this slopestyle free ride mountain bike corner of social media, you can't really tell where someone is from, because all the big guys, be it Reeder, Semenuk, Johansson, Hoopbot, they do their tricks. They look pretty similar. They ride kind of the same big tricks, but no one is really standing out for their heritage. So for kind of where they're from, and of course you have the Canadian guys that have their big parks and big mountains. And I was always wondering, how are you thinking about? Do you want to bring across that you're Swiss, you're from the Swiss mountains, and you want to present Switzerland, or is that not something that you think about with your content?
Actually, no. I mean, you can ride everywhere, but it's crazy because in Switzerland we have so many different kind of riding. So we have everything here. That's why I love to ride in Switzerland, because you can do the Nordisk freeride lines, you can do some really, really good bike park laps, and you can go to Davos and do the best enduro riding. So we have everything. So I think you see in my videos a lot Swissness, I think, but actually I'm not trying to show Switzerland to my I don't know, to my followers.
Okay. Have you thought about this before? I mean, of course, now that's a bit spontaneous in a podcast recording, but if you think about, think outside the box a little bit, so kind of how you could present this to, a destination, right? So Lenzerheide, Davos, or maybe some of the smaller areas that only just get started in mountain biking. I guess there's scope to do quite a few things, because as you say, as diverse as Switzerland is, there's a lot of stuff that you could do.
Yeah, I mean, that was what was I was trying that one actually. I tried to do a video part this year, but I couldn't because of my injury. But I really tried to show some different spots in Switzerland and some riding in Switzerland, some free riding especially in that video. Maybe I have to do it next year, but I started to do something like this year. Year. Yeah.
And what? So when you create content, do you all do that by yourself, or do you get some support from sponsors?
Yeah, I get some support. For that project, I tried to do this year was TSG. They gave me a lot of support for the video project. That's why I really wanted to finish it this year, but I couldn't, so I will finish it next year or the year after. I mean, it takes a lot of time to travel to different spots and take the videos there, but sure. I really want to show what we can do in Switzerland and what we have in Switzerland to ride, because I think no one really does already have a video project from Switzerland with free riding.
I mean, Ludo May a little bit, but I mean, he is just the janky switchbacks in the valleys and Verbier and all these places. But yeah, no, I don't think so. There's a lot of room in that space, I think.
Yeah, and the idea was to go to different spots and visit the different riding and the riders and do together with the riders their home spots and get some party laps together on their spots. So just to show what we can do here.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea. And I'm sure that's quite a trip if you want to go around the country and visit all the guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one.
Yeah, and apart from leaving that Swissness aside, of course, social media today is, let's say it's very crowded. There's a lot of content. I was actually just listening to a podcast today with Hans Ray, of course, the godfather of mountain bike videos, and he was just saying, and I feel, agree with this feeling, is that there's so much these days. So when you're at an event for a weekend, let's say, and there's so much going on. There's World Cups and there's events and there's other creators that put stuff out, and then there's this and that. There's actually at this stage there's so much, and that makes it so difficult to stand out from this big mass of content. So what are you doing to try and stand out?
Showing my style. I think that's the most
biggest
important.
Whips.
Yeah, I mean, what makes you different? It's your own riding style. I mean, if you're good at whips, do whips. Show people how good you are in whips, or if you're good at switchbacks, do switchbacks. I mean, it's your style, it's your riding. People will recognize you just because of your style.
Plain and simple. It's actually not as complicated as we need to make it.
I mean, as example, Vinny T. Why is he so special? Because of his style. He's got the sickest style on a mountain bike. And he's really one of those free riders which is just free riding.
True. I mean, as we talked about earlier, right? So he's in that niche of, doing a couple of events every year, but the rest of the time he's just making videos.
So Grizzly, you are a sponsored rider, partially, by TSG, as well as a few others. How did your partnership with TSG come about?
That was the Biroma team, actually. I started to ride for the Biroma team. And as I finished with the team, because the idea of the team is to support young riders. And I finished with the team a year ago, 2 years ago, when I was 24. 2 years ago then. I think it was 2 years ago. So I tried to keep TSG and Bike the World. Actually, Bike the World, so James was supporting me straight, not through the team before. And TSG was like, yeah, we're interested in you. We like what you're doing, so let's keep doing what we're doing, even if you're not part of the team again, or if you're not part of the team anymore.
Right on. And then they put you in the magazine ad. The helmet ad on Pink Bike.
Yeah, exactly.
That was really cool to see you there. I was like, hey, I know that guy.
Yeah, I was on I didn't know that, but I was on the big pictures on the Eurobike, on the DSG stand.
Really?
I didn't know that, no.
Oh, wow.
Some friends of mine sent me the pictures. And I was like, no way, what am I doing there? Why did they take pictures of me?
So the name Flying Grizzly, does it have a story?
Yeah, it was my biggest sister, which gave me that name. So it started when I was really young. My family called me Grizzly. Not Grizzly, so Grizzly, instead of Chris. And when I was getting older, my friends started to call me Grizzly. And then I started to ride bikes and did some jumps and stuff. And my biggest sister once said to me, "Oh, you're a flying grizzly." So that's the story. And I tried to change my name on Instagram one day to Flying Grizzly, but it was already taken. So it's the Flying Grizzly Bear now.
Excellent. Yeah, I always thought it had origins in something with Canada, because Canada is known as kind of the grizzly country. And I think when we first met, or actually just before we first met, I was talking to James, and he said, Chris Visscher, and he even went to Canada, and he went to the bike parks there and everything, and you should talk to him, you're gonna like him and everything. So you were in Canada. So maybe just summarize your experience, your trip to Canada. How was that for you?
Oh, Canada is the best place on earth.
You're welcome, by the way.
Thank you. No, I mean, you have the best stuff there. I mean, mountain biking started there, actually. Yeah. So you have everything.
And what kind of brought on that trip?
Whistler. Yeah, it was Whistler. So I didn't knew a lot about British Columbia or Canada when I was the first time there. It was my friends who were like always talking about, and then I've seen some videos for sure. I mean, in all those mountain bike videos, I've seen stuff of Whistler. So that was actually the reason why I went to Canada first time. And then a friend of mine, he was already, I think, 2 times or 3 times there. So he just showed us around and took us to the best spots. And we were in Kamloops and North Shore Mountain, Whistler for sure. We were on Vancouver Island on the Coast Gravity Park, which was super, super sick. It is one of the best things you can do in Canada for me.
All right.
The Coast Gravity Park. And even we've been to Silver Star. But it was super rainy, so we couldn't really ride there. That was the first time I've been to Canada, so I fell in love with Canada, so I had to go a second time.
All right.
Yeah.
And then it was?
The second time was 2019 with a good friend of mine, Dobby Coley. You know him. And he's been there for 2 months, I think. So I could just go for 3 weeks.
Right.
And we had a lot of riding together there, and we did some really gnarly stuff. We've been lucky. We've met a guy in Kamloops. He's called Jace, and he took us to his home trail, next or near to Kamloops. And he's got a Ford F-150, a big one, really big one, a big truck with a couch on the back, so you could sit on a couch while he was shuttling you up the mountain. So he was a super cool guy. He got that truck for 6 beers. So, it was completely rusty and big holes in it, but it was so cool. And he took us to his home trail, which was actually one of the best trails I've ever ridden. So no one knows about it, just he and his friends.
Right. So this is 2019.
That was 2019, yeah.
All right. And then, so by then you're well into your free ride hobby.
Yeah.
And you're sending it, you're you're also, of course, in the Swiss bike parks as well.
Yeah. As well.
Yeah. And I remember just earlier you mentioned that, here in Switzerland, you have pretty much the same things, right? Like in Canada, you have like the bike parks, you've got down to these secret trails, you've got rocky stuff, steep stuff, you can find loam, you can find, like you were saying, you can find all these other things. And that's why you really love riding here. It's not like you don't need to go other places.
Yeah, true.
I find it exactly the same, actually. And the more I get out to different places, the more I realize like what I have around me is like just as sick as what I left behind. So I'm really grateful for this. But kind of one thing that one thing that crossed my mind as you told me that, and I of course agree with it, was like, actually people can come here and they can ride free ride lines, they can ride bike parks, they can ride high alpine stuff, they can ride really remote things and everything in between. And but then I thought to myself, how do they know this? How can they find out? Where can they go to get like kind of a menu of all of these things? And so maybe Pascal, maybe we should get together the alumni and we just like get this out there, like maybe in a podcast format. No, sorry, I'm just joking. Maybe in like kind of like written. And we can have like this like Skids and Giggles suggested this enduro, suggested free ride line, Grizzly line, suggested team enduro event and all these things, like a highlight list. That would be really cool.
Giggles people favorites or something. Yeah, you can put that on the homepage.
Yeah, this is. I just kind of had like a light bulb there. I was like, if we're reaching out to some people who want to know about Switzerland, and we're talking to all these people from around Switzerland who are doing so many different things like freeride, enduro, and everything in between, we should just like point format and be like, boom, this is where you can find that.
That was the idea actually for my video. So I wanted really to show all the spots I know for enduro riding, for free riding, for park riding, and put it together in one video with cool people.
Okay.
So just to show the world or everyone who want to watch it, what we can do in Switzerland, what we have here.
Oh, absolutely. Right on. I think it sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, but it's so hard to do.
Oh, yeah, sure. And that's a multi-year project, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I realized that one this year, yeah.
Well, reach out if you need some support from our end, and maybe we can collaborate to see what we can produce.
Yeah, for sure. Or you can join me riding.
Exactly.
In Davos or somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe I'll like be at the bar while you're doing your flips, but
no, we don't have to do flips all the time. We just have to sometimes we just have to show some beautiful landscapes.
For sure. Yeah, I don't mind being the guy who's like, "Welcome to Davos," blah 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 blah, and then we see you in the background shred.
Yeah.
Another Skids and Giggles alumni project.
Yes. So amongst our favorite places to ride in Switzerland, for me and Pascal for sure, is Davos. It's just got great terrain, very good lift access, and it's also just a nice city. So I caught word that you're heading up there, a little bit of a permanent setting. So could you tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing and why you're heading up to Davos?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the why is clear for sure. I mean, it's one of the best places we have around here. for riding especially. So the idea was to, and that's now becoming real, to just live in the mountains. I got a lot of friends in Davos, so that's why we decided to move to Davos, me and my girl. So we're moving to Davos. I started working as a shaper in Lenzerheide Bike Park. So maybe we have a lot of changes next year in the bike park, and we'll sit there in a digger the whole year.
Expanded Grizzly line.
Grizzlier lines.
Doing big jumps and cool lines. That's what I want to do. And in the winter, I'm working as a ski patrol. Yeah, on the slopes and yeah, maybe. If you're in Lenzerheide in the winter, skiing, and having a crash, just give me a call. I will come and yeah, give you some painkillers.
Just the good stuff.
Just the good stuff.
Or maybe I'll just crash the après-ski ski patrol party.
Oh yeah, I can join you.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Probably safer. An easier way to get Chris's attention is just to invite him for a beer after skiing rather than crashing on the slopes.
Right on. Yeah, I think you made a good choice going up there. It's kind of a dream. It's like back home, yeah, I had some buddies who from Vancouver and was like, yeah, I'm going to move to Whistler or I'm going to move to Squamish and work in Whistler. And, you know, it's like the dream. So I totally understand the sentiment of you want to get up to the mountain town, you want to be in the environment, you want to have access to those epic trails and just, yeah, the expanded network as well, like around Davos. So kudos, man. Good luck.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I mean, what are we doing all week? And we're just driving up to the mountains and ride bikes. So I'm there then.
You're just cutting your commute down.
Yeah, I don't want to drive my car. I'm just sitting in a mountain and ride bikes.
Saving the planet.
One ride at a time.
All right. Cool. You know, to maybe to wrap it up, we have our closeout questions, which we like to go through with our guests, if that's okay. First one, pretty straight and simple. I think we heard about that Marin already. So just tell us again about that first bike that got you really stoked on riding.
My first bike, which got me stoked on riding, it was my Marin. It was a shitty bike, but it got me stoked on riding. That's where it started.
There you go. You don't need a nice bike to be stoked on riding.
No.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, you just need a bike and have fun on it.
It sounds like it also got you stoked on wrenching.
Yeah, I had a lot of repairs on that one.
Nice. Second one. Imagine you're Harry Skidini and you're a bike magician extraordinaire. You can make riding a bike more awesome for anyone by the stroke of a magic dropper post. What would you do?
Oh, that's a really difficult one. I heard about that one already, but I have no answer, I think. I mean, what would I do? I would... Oh, I don't know.
Apart from moving to Davos.
Yeah, I would recommend to everyone to move to Davos.
Party laps.
Party laps. Difficult question. Actually, it's a suspension setup, which is adapting to your riding all the time, everywhere you are. You don't have to change the setup. It setups for yourself.
Oh.
So that would be sick.
Very good.
So not
I
like a
it.
set and forget it, but like a constantly adapting perfect setup.
What you have in your mind, the setup is doing for you.
Whoa.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Do you think it would help with skids?
With skids?
If you had this perfect suspension,
It will help you with skids.
it will help
for
with skids,
sure.
or it would decrease the skid.
No, it will help you. If you want to skid, the suspension setup will set it up for you and you do the perfect skid.
Perfect epic skids.
Yeah.
What would that look like in your mind? If you were to control your bike with your
The perfect skid.
Yeah.
Getting full speed in a corner like a World Cup racer and kind of realize at the very last moment that you have to turn your bike around, so both brakes full locked and get into the berm, almost like get popped over your bars, but your rear wheel is just exploding the ground. Like everything is just flying around you. That's a perfect skip for me.
Nice. Well, Grizzly, that was really cool. Thanks again for your time, for sitting down with us. If listeners have any questions or want to learn more about the grizzly bear on the bike, what you're up to, where can they find you?
Basically on Instagram, Flying Grizzly Bear. And if you want to learn something or if you want to ride with me, just hit me up. I'm totally in for riding.
Sweet. All right. Thanks again. This was cool. Bryson, awesome. Good chatting to you. See you guys soon.
Farewell, boys.
Ciao.
Cheers. Thank you, guys.